Hey everyone, Gobotch here, back today with a brand new video. Today we are jumping in and I'm breaking down and giving you everything that you need to know so far about Axis Football 2020. Now, if you don't know anything about Axis Football in this football series, Axis Games and in the helm of this, they've done a tremendous job with the series, a small little indie team, and they've made what may be the best, deepest franchise in football. Out there on the gaming market right now. Of course, you have Doug Flutie Football out there, Maximum Football. You have Madden with their things they're doing, but what they're doing right now with Axis Football, man, they are making a truly realistic sports simulation for the football fan, including myself. Now, this game does have a pretty cool customization suite, so you can do some really cool customization to make the uniforms as close as you want it to what other teams or leagues or whatever you want to be doing. I think there's 35 teams in the game itself right now, maybe 36 if I'm not wrong there. But today what I just want to talk about, all the features that they have talked about so far on their YouTube channel, Axis Games, primarily talking about the Overhauled draft, new stats, and what they have with the contract situation as well. So let's get into that today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like today's news video today for Axis Football 2020, hit the thumbs up, comment down below, feel free to join the Gobotch family, subscribe as we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So here we are. So first, jumping in, you can see they've really overhauled the UI and everything with the main menu system and everything. They're primarily focusing in the first few screenshots I'm going to show you today. I'm talking about the draft mode, which is a live draft, by the way, which is fantastic. So if you're looking at this screen here, it shows you on the left, it shows you who's on the clock, how much time they have for their selection. In the middle, it shows you what that team is, or who that team is. So you have the Cincinnati Royals on the clock, their areas of need, and it shows their turnover margin was 33rd in the league, passing yards is at 28th, and their points scored is at 27th, which, you know, may correlate to why they were the worst team in the league and get the #1 pick in the draft. So they get to their selection, and when you see each team, the way they've talked about it in the video was they said that each team does their own drafting and their own scouting. So each team has their own needs, their own scouting, and everybody shows a estimated overall. But then when you draft that player, just like in real life football, you're either going to get a bust or you're going to get somebody that can help you. Okay, and sometimes you draft somebody you think is going to be that guy that can shift your organization, and they end up not at all. So as you see here, Cincinnati, they drafted a Leonardo Robinson from a defensive line, and I'm assuming they thought that he was going to be a high A potential player. He ended up, and that is his actual overall, a C+. So he ends up being a bust for them as the #1 pick. And that's just part of it, man. That's part of football. They wanted to make a realistic experience in this Axis Football edition here with the draft in 2020. And they said that sometimes you're going to get busts, sometimes you're going to get gems, sometimes you're just going to get somebody that's right there in the middle that's just going to be a good core guy for your team. So with Cincinnati, they kind of got a bust there. You see here now, looking at the player pool for the draft, you see all the different players. You got Carlos Schmidt there is an A potential draft candidate. You got Fabian Howard as well as another A potential draft candidate. Again, those players may end up not being that way for the quarterback position. They may actually be a B or a C or whatever, but that's just part of the gamble with sports in general. You have all that potential, but they may end up being less than that. So I'm really excited about that realistic experience they're trying to bring to us in Axis Football 2020, making sure that every team has their own, basically their own things they're scouting for and their own needs they need for their team, and they're going to fill those needs within their draft, and sometimes it doesn't pan out. So the draft really has been overhauled. Here's another one. You see the #2 pick was Cleveland, Max Saunders, offensive lineman. He was an A+ overall. So talk about a snag there as the overall #2 pick in the draft. Cincinnati got the bust, Cleveland got the win right there. Moving on to the next thing here in the team guide, you can see the Seattle Bruins, which was the user team in the video. It shows you what that team's needs were. So you see with the rushing, they're 13th in the league. They were first in points for. They are 20th in the league on defense and pass defense. Rush defense, they were 30th, which was near the very bottom, and their points allowed were right there in the middle of the league at 20th. So they definitely needed help on the defensive side, and it shows you now your areas of need as well. So looking at some of these other screenshots here, it shows you who your current starters are. And you see the big weakness for the Bruins out here was their center. They have a starting center at 78 overall with Pena. Martinez was 70 overall, and then Shelton was 67 overall. So they definitely needed to upgrade in the center position. So they went after, there's a draftee right there for a draft replacement. It shows you he's an estimated B+ overall, Pablo Lyons, and he's a 21-year-old offensive lineman that could be taken over as a starting center potentially over Pena, Martinez, and Sheldon. So that kind of shows you your draft replacements you have in the team guide summary. Another thing you have right here, as you can see, is it shows you your you go to the draft summary. It shows you all the picks from 1 to the rest of the draft. So it shows you with Cincinnati, they got the C+, Leonardo Robinson. Cleveland got Max Saunders, the offensive lineman, who was A+. The third pick went to Miami, the Braden Webster. He's a running back at A+ potential. Carlos Schmidt, that quarterback we just saw that said he was an A potential quarterback, he actually ended up being a B+ potential quarterback. You have Mario Fletcher, defensive lineman, is a C+ that they got there in Vancouver. Winnipeg went after Fabian Howard, who we also saw as an A potential quarterback, actually settles in as a B potential quarterback there at the 6 picks. St. Louis went with Miles Harper, linebacker, at C+ potential. So you see a lot of variance in the overalls from each of these players, and I like that a lot. It's going to make the draft so pivotal year in and year out for your team, and really make you pay attention to the scouting that you do throughout the season and get ready for the draft. So really excited about that ultra realism. Moving on to this screenshot here, now you see the overhauled main dashboard now for Axis Football 2020, where you see the actions on the far left there. You see your player progression, you see your draft, player contracts, the start of the next season. Up at the top, it shows your season summary, where his team went 15-4, and they moved as tier 3 champions all the way up now to tier 2 as a promotion, because in Axis Football you have 3 tiers. You have tier 3, which is the bottom, tier 2, which is the mid, and then tier 1, which is the top league in Axis Football. It shows you the awards, as you see right there in the screenshot. The Rookie of the Year was John Lynn, quarterback for Baltimore. He had 3,700 yards passing with 32 touchdowns. Shows you the 4 retirees in the league and your champions there in the far right, as well as the promotions, demotions. Top right, you have team morale, which is for Seattle at a 100%. So really cool stuff there overall. Another thing here shows league MVP Tommy Rucker from Green Bay finished with 4,600 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, and it shows the team tier 1 champions out there, which was the Dallas team, I do believe, out there was the league champion. So really cool overall there. A lot of really in-depth things they're doing there. And one more thing you do have in the draft itself, which I did not get to before, it does show you the best overall that you have available in the draft. So if you're looking at this screenshot right here, it shows your current starters on the right, the best available draft picks to the left. So on this one right here for Seattle, so it shows Tyler Bishop, who is a C+ running back. He's 25 years old, and it shows in the draft the estimated best overall potential player is Braden Webster, the running back, 22 years old. Shows that he would be a improvement over Tyler Bishop potentially. Same thing here with Max Saunders, the offensive lineman, would be a potential get over Frankie Pena, which we already looked at prior. And then Devin Horton, running back, was an A+ potential, would be a potential pick over Tyler Bishop. So it shows you the best available in the draft as well. So a lot more involved in there now. Now let's get into the personnel menu here, as they're showing, talking about how we're going to be going towards free agency and your contract situation. So here on the personnel tab on the main dashboard, it shows your depth chart. It shows they have 51 spots filled out of the 53. It shows your trading. It shows they have a team need at quarterback, and shows the top trade asset on their team is S. Rice, who's an offensive lineman, who is a B potential, or maybe a defensive lineman, I can't tell. It shows they don't have any injuries currently. The team free agency, D. Garza, defensive lineman number 90, is the top overall talent at a B+ potential. Shows for their team, the Seattle team, they have 10 expiring contracts, which we'll get to that in just a minute. Shows team activity there, practice squad as well. So they do have practice squad in this game, just like they have in Madden. And it shows the team morale, which currently stands at a good standing at 79, which is down 1 from prior. So all of those things, it makes it really in-depth. I think that's going to be a really fascinating thing for us franchise fans that want an in-depth experience menu in, menu out, season in and out, game in and game out. I'm really excited about it. Now, getting into the actual player contracts, you see here for Arizona, Kendall Lenters is on a contract year for the quarterback position. So he's a C potential player, 27 years old, and he has no years remaining on his contract. You do have a backup, John McCormick, there, who has 3 years left on his contract, 25 years old, and a B overall potential. So what they were talking about in this section was they were saying that there's on the far right, you see sign all and release all. You can do that if you want. If you want to sign all the potential free agents and bring them back to the best available contracts, you can just click sign all and the game will do it for you if you don't want to do it yourself manually. And if you just want to say, you know what, I don't want any of these guys, I want to release them from the contracts, they can go into free agency, you can click release all and the game will devoid them of the contracts, release all those players that you don't want that are on expiring contracts. It will not release all the players that you still have in your contracts. This will just release all players that are currently expiring, about to go to free agency. So really, really cool to see that in here as well. Then you see right here in this menu right here, you see all the running backs on contract. Lamar Franklin, who was their star running back for a long time, was 35 years old, a B+ overall potential still at this time. But with his career winding down, they wanted to show you now career statistics, something Madden still hasn't quite completely figured out perfectly. But career statistics is really, really important. So it shows you the contract that they're wanting to offer here. He's wanting a 4-year deal, $10.2 million. But he's 35 years old. So now they go into the career stats menu where you can see from when he came into the league in 2020, and he's now spent over 10 years in the league, in the game as of 2030, and when they're at the point right now. So you see when he started his career, he had over 1,300 yards rushing and 24 touchdowns. Year 2 went down a ton in yards, still produced 18 touchdowns. Year 3, not a very good year, as he had just a partial amount of the rushes at 176 yards, 352 yards, only 3 touchdowns. Year 4, he picked it back up as he got, there's a glitch there, I think. It says it was 0 yards. I'm pretty sure it's a glitch, but he has 23 touchdowns. Year 5, 768 yards, 7 touchdowns. Year 6, he had 1,200 yards rushing and 15 touchdowns. So you can tab, you can change stats for each of these categories. So as you see, as he tabs over here, he shows you his best overall year in his career so far. It was his first year in the league. He had 1,300 yards rushing, 24 touchdowns. Year 6, he had his second best attempt at 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. And then in year 10, he had 928 yards and 11 touchdowns. So you can kind of gauge and figure out, is this player on the outs? Does he have any worth left in his career? Do we need to sign him to a 1-year deal, 2-year deal? Should we just let him walk, or should we lock him up to a bigger contract? You can use these career stats, these analytics, to help fill out and what you need to be doing in your free agency and your expiring contracts. That was something they really, really fleshed out. Now we're going to move on to the dashboard here as they talk about season stats and looking at in-game stats for the entire season. So this is something that they've worked on that's new to the game. You can literally look at the game stats for every single game in the league, from your team and every other team all throughout the league. It'll show you everything you need to see. So here on this main screen, it shows you they're in the playoffs right now for Tier 3 in 2020, the first season of the game. So it shows you in the Contenders Cup there in Tier 3, you see the playoff bracket right there. As you go to the next screenshot, it shows you the tiers there. You have Chicago, who defeated San Francisco 27-10. Winnipeg got destroyed by Miami 41-13. So you see the different playoff tiers you have here. Here is Tier 3, and now moving on, here is Tier 1, where everybody wants to be. Baltimore beat Boston 24-21. Denver shut out Carolina 34-0, and they're going to take on each other. And you can actually spectate that game. As you see, it has the watch feature right there for that Denver-Baltimore game, and Green Bay versus Pittsburgh, as Pittsburgh defeated Dallas 24-20, which makes me upset as a Cowboys fan or a Dallas fan in general. So you can look at all these things. If you want to look now, you can move on to this menu here. It shows Tier 3, it shows all of the games for Week 16, and you can click on any of these games if you wish. And right here in this screenshot, you see this was the score for San Francisco versus Chicago. San Francisco won that game 21-15. So it shows you the quarter by quarter box stats, and then you also see down below the game MVPs for each team on offense and on defense. So it's a really quick screenshot that just kind of shows you the game at a glance and the top players for each side of the football for each team respectively. I really like that. It's simple, it's clean, it looks good, and it adds a lot more to the game. Moving on now to the next tab, to the player stats. You see the player stats in a glance here for San Fran and Chicago for passing, rushing, receiving, and on defense, and it just shows you the top performers for each of those categories throughout. It's just, again, a quick glimpse screenshot, really simple, really clean. I think it looks good overall. As you can see, Morrison was 29 of 43, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. On the counteract of that, you had Chicago, Chavez out there, 23 of 39 with 161 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. And then you see all the other stats there. Again, I think it looks really, really good. It's a good addition to the game. Moving over to the next category of team stats. So shows you here, Chicago ran one more play than San Francisco, 27 rushes, 41 passes. It shows that for each category. Total yards went to San Francisco, as did rushing yards, passing yards. Each team had 2 sacks and 1 turnover from Chicago. So you see all those team stats. Again, looks clean, simple. It's a good addition to the game. Another one here showing Miami versus Winnipeg, in which Miami destroyed them 41-13. We saw that, and that was a playoff score. So you can see again here the box score. You can see the game MVPs for each team. You see the player stats here for Miami and for Winnipeg, and the difference between those two teams is you see Walker went off 21 of 37, 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards through the air, and McCormick, the running back there, went off 20 rushes, 183 yards, and 2 touchdowns. As long was 81 yards on the day. So you can see that for each and every game in the season. As you see, this is the team tab. So for the team that they were controlling, Arizona or whoever it was, it will show you each week. So there's 16 weeks in the season there. It shows you your wins and losses for each of those games. You can go through and click on every single one of those games, looks at the box score, the player stats, the team stats, everything. And you can do that from the team, the league, and the playoffs. So it adds a lot more to the experience here for Axis Football 2020. Very much looking forward to all of these changes coming into the game in this upcoming year. But that's going to do it for this video today. This is everything that we know currently about Axis Football 2020's franchise mode, between the new team stats, game stats, the new contract situation you now have in game, as well as career statistics, and then the overhaul draft now you have in the game. Very much looking forward to this game coming out usually Q1, or not Q1, but in the fall, in September time. We'll see. There's no official date quite yet, but very much excited to get my hands on this game when the beta comes. But leave all your thoughts with me down below for franchise mode for Axis Football 2020. Are you in it? Are you out? Are you looking forward to something a little bit different? Again, this is a great cheap alternative and a really good team here at Axis Games. Support them, help them out. I'm really looking forward to this game. But leave all your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, if it was informative, and you want me to do more videos here on the channel for Axis Football 2020, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to join the Gobotch family, subscribe, but stay safe out there, y'all. Have a great rest of your day as always, and we'll see each and every single one of you back here in the next video. Y'all take it easy.